Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing today? My name is Matt. And I'm going to be guiding you through this afternoon's webinar, which, as you can see in front of you, is all about using the demonstration and practice companies. Practice data, or demo data for short. So, what are we going to be covering in today's session? First off, quite simply, we're going to be looking at what is demonstration data, then into what is practice data. A lot of people think they're exactly the same, but they aren't. There's a reason why they're accessed differently and called different things. And I'll go through those differences during a demonstration. Before the demonstration, we'll go through some FAQs. The reason that we created this webinar was because we frequently get asked questions about these two areas of the program and their uses and the functionalities and what you can and can't do within them. Then after that, we'll go through a brief summary and we'll have a look at the further support and any further questions and answers that you may have. Today's session is scheduled for half an hour. Again, I'm going to be very honest with you, if you've been in my sessions before, and we usually tell you the time it will take, it's probably going to be a bit less than that. The demonstrations will be explain all, but if you do have any further questions, let's go through the rules on that. So if you haven't been here before, these are the rules. If you have, you'll know them. Your microphone is automatically muted. So if you cough, sneeze, or want to sing along to the radio, if your heart's content, you can do. You are not going to interrupt us whatsoever. So have no fear, we will not be judging your talents. If you do have any questions, press that speech bubble with a question mark in there, send them across. Today we've got the wonderful Abby and the extremely wonderful Michael on hand to answer any questions that you may have. They're going to be with us for the duration of the webinar. If there's anything that we can't answer during the time allotted, we will get in touch with you afterwards. There's also a handout attached, one in colour, one in black and white, both contain the same information. Download those now. They've got links to access the help and resources that we have on offer for this subject matter. Now, we do prioritise questions on the subject matter first. So if there is going to be anything that isn't going to be covered today in today's webinar, the chances are we'll either refer you to our help and support teams or we'll contact you afterwards. Superb. So without further ado, let's begin. What is demonstration data? Well, demonstration data, first off, it's been around for quite a while now. You've probably seen it. It's available in all variants, so it's not specific to subscription type. It is quite simply a pre-configured set of sample data. As it says on the tin, demonstration data. It's a fictional company, Stationery and Computer Mart UK, completely made up, provided by Sage. It's basically designed to showcase how the software works. So you can practice features on real business data, quotation marks there, real business, the fake company of Stationery and Computer Mart UK. It's a safe exploration tool. So essentially it's going to let you explore, as I said before, the features, the reports, navigate the system in a risk-free environment. It's not going to affect your live data. You may not even set data up yet. So you might want to see the capabilities. You might want to have a look in there and do some demonstrations as to what you want things to look like in your live company when it's fully up and running. It's perfect for learning or presenting Sage 50's capabilities. We use it a lot, and as a former tech, we used to use it a lot to explain scenarios when you guys would call in with issues. So then what is the difference with practice data? Again, practice data is available in all variants, not all versions, but all variants most certainly. Again, it's another safe testing environment. It enables you to try out routines, explore most of the features within Sage, and understand how the software behaves. And this is all in connection to your data or data that you set up within the practice area. So it isn't pre-configured. It is either blank or it is your data that you have, but just not live. I'll explain more about that in the demonstration, but it's a brilliant tool to utilize. It's resettable and it's isolated as well. There's a bit of a difference from demonstration data. Any changes in demonstration data, they stay there. But in practice data, you can easily reset it to blank or just to start again from your current company's data set. Again, probably best in the demonstration to show you what I mean by that. But before we go into that demonstration, let's have a look at some of the frequently asked questions that we have been getting. And I've pulled out 3 of the main ones here. First one, Will the data reset if I close my Sage 50 account? So I've just explained there. Demonstration saves the changes that you've made. So if you create a customer in your demonstration data, close it, then open it again in 3 weeks' time, that customer's information is still going to be there, be it fake or real or whatever. Practice data, however, gives you the option to reset. So you can start again. Or you upload from version 30.1 upwards, you upload your data to the practice environment without circumstance. So again, it's either resettable or it's not. Can I use bank feeds in demonstration or practice data? No, you can't. You can't connect any apps or add-ons or connected services, remote data access or anything like that at all. It's a practice environment. Just for instance, the reason for that is imagine HMRC receiving VAT returns for Stationery Mart UK, how many they would receive a day. So no, it is not connected to any connected services or the internet at all. It is a sandbox arena where you can practice what the software has to offer, but not on a connected level. Finally, can I save a backup of the data? Now, it is possible, technically, to have a backup in demonstration data. I'll demonstrate that again, but not in practice data. Again, with it being your live data, taking the risk of cross-contamination of figures out of the equation straight away, it's best not to be able to take a backup, because essentially, practice data is you using a backup of your data anyway. So it's a lot easier for Sage just to say no, not in practice data. Demonstration data, potentially, I don't know why you would take a backup of demonstration data, but I'll explain that in the demonstration. And on that note, let's head straight over to the demonstration. Potentially could be quite a quick one, depending on the questions that come in. But you should be able to see my Sage 50 accounts in front of you. And I have a company here, and I've called it Year End. It is a small data set that I use to demonstrate year ends on different webinars, mainly the year end one, if I'm honest. But it is a relatively small data set, just for the sake of this demonstration altogether. First things first, let's say I want to access demonstration data. How do I do this? First option is when you open Sage, or you click File, Open Company Data, you're going to be presented with the company selection screen you see in front of you, and there you have it, demonstration data. And if you scroll to the right-hand side, you'll see the data path is C drive. Demonstration data is individual to your PC or your terminal. It's not shared. It's not accessible via a network or accessible via RDA. It is on your C drive. And if you want to double check that again, slide this little bar at the right-hand side, C drive, you can see there. So that's how I can first access it if I've opened up the program, or the way I've just shown you by clicking on File, Open Company Data. The most obvious way, File, Open Demo Data. Once I've clicked that, Sage will then switch from my live company, Year End, to Stationery and Computer Mart UK. As you can see, the only thing that changed there was this bit at the top, and potentially the year end in the bottom right-hand corner, which is currently on January 2024 in my demonstration data. Once I've done this, and I'm in demonstration data, if you click through the modules on the left-hand side, you'll see customers are pre-populated. They have balances, account numbers, credit limits, they have contacts, numbers. The same if you go to suppliers, same again. And all of it is populated with pre-configured information. So no matter what feature you want to test that isn't a connected service, you can do. Again, there's quotations pre-populated, there's products and services. With it being a stationary computer mod, you can see whiteboards, ledger books, etc. So if you wanted to practice doing batch invoices, you could do. If you wanted to practice entering in suppliers or new customers, again, you can do. I'm going to pick on a particular area of the program, which is the year-end part, because we're using the year-end data. So I'm going to pretend that that is what I'm here to practice today. So I would click on Tools, period end, year end. This is just confirming that I'm going to close all external windows, which I'm fine with. And as you can see, it's going to load what I would see in actual my live data, but it's all based on Stationery and Computer Mart UK. So I'm really not practicing to see a benefit in the figures that I'm running. I'm practicing to say I'm clicking the right things. So I would check the data. And again, just as it would in real life, it checks the data for me and it gives me the report. Check the chart of accounts. Now this is the chart of accounts within Stationery and Computer Mart. It checks it, everything is fine. Again, like for like, what I would do in my live company, I'm doing on this pre-configured fictitious company. Now this is where it would even let me take a backup by clicking on backup. It would ask me what kind of backup I wanted to take. Now I don't know why you would take this backup, but if you wanted to practice, you could do, but just be wary about where it saves to or what it's called, because what you don't want to do is accidentally one day restore demonstration data over the top of your live company. That's a big asterisk on that one. So if you are going to take a backup in here to practice, maybe rename this completely to, I don't know, say, do not use or something like that. Make it obvious for yourself. Not that it isn't obvious already with the fact that the company name is Stationery and Computer Mart, but just in case, remove that chance of human error. Again, it'll let you archive, set up your budget options as well. And you can just run through the whole process. It'll even, once you've run the year end, not only will it create the archives, but it'll also create the journals for you. So then once you want to go in and review what journals it's created, you can do. It's not an issue. Now, another question that has just come through there is with regards to if I make changes to the program itself. And what do you mean by that is if I was to change like color schemes? Yes, it would change across the board. So for example, if I clicked on tools and options, and I wanted to change the color scheme. So from this options menu, I went to colors and I wanted to change my customers module to be, let's say, red and white. I'll click OK. It's changed in demonstration data. And if I'm to access my live data by clicking open company data, it'll take me back to my live company here, year end. You'll see that the changes have been maintained once I've typed my password in. There. Red and white stripes. So if you do make system changes in demonstration data, you remember you're making them to the system, the actual program itself, not company specific, i.e. not just to the demonstration. So yes, that will come into things. I'm going to change that because it's quite jarring for me. It's the red and the white. So I'm going to just change that back to white there. So back to it again. If you were to run your year end or your VAT or what have you in demonstration data, it's mainly just to see what the process is rather than what the results could be. So demonstration data will give you the results of demonstration data as if it was a real company. Now, just to demonstrate something else, if I was to go back into demonstration data and I wanted to practice setting up a customer again, let's just call this customer 123123. I'm going to click save. And it's created in demonstration data there, as you can see. The reason I made it so obvious is so you can tell it apart from the rest. So 123123 there has been created. If I was to leave for whatever reason, I must go back into my live data and I accessed my live company's year end, did my processing or whatever I needed to do in here, then wanted to go back to where I'd left off. Open company data, open demo data there. You'll see that customer 123123 is still there. So demonstration data is held onto that change for me. So then I can go back and say, right, okay, I can now enter the company. Let's just call it counting. And I can make the changes. So I can always revert back to it. Again, it's demonstration data. So why you would want to create a full customer record again might just be for practice. You might have a new starter. So really that's the whistle-stop tour of demonstration data. The next thing to look at is practice data and the differences. Now, how do we access that? Again, what I'm going to do for the sake of the demonstration is I'm going to go back to the company selection screen. First way to access it is here. It's at the top of the screen there. As you can see again, native is to the C drive. So it's not going to be shared at all. This is just to your PC or computer, whatever the device is that you're using, Sage 50 on. Or you can click File, Open Practice Data from here. If you're in your live company, which I'll demonstrate now, remember my live company is year end. So let's say I'm processing and I want to see how something looks again. I'm going to pick on year end. I want to see how something looks before I do it. I would use practice data. So all of my live company data is here, my transactions. And if you want to, you can take a note of this. Transaction 1234 is my last transaction. And let's say I want to do my year end, but I'm a bit nervous. I don't want to do it in my live data yet. I want to see how it's going to look. File, restore into practice company, available from version 30.1 and upwards. The option, once you click on here, presents you with this box, use my data. And this is where you would navigate to your backup that you want to use. So the steps for this process is take a backup, always create that save point now. Let's say that I've done that, file, backup, and then I access that backup. I'm going to do it a different way now. File, open practice data. Practice data now gives me an option. I can use blank data, where I can just create a blank company, type in what I want to type in, import what I want to import, and then do the processes and practice the processes I want. If I've already done that previously, I could leave this tick in the box and it would continue from where I last left off. The main benefit for me though, and for most people at Sage would say, it's using your data. So navigate to that backup that you've taken. I'm going to quickly do this now for you. So downloads, here's one I created earlier, a bit like Blue Peter. And I'm going to open this up, click continue. And again, remember, this is a small data set for me. Yours might be a bit larger, so it might take a wee bit longer. But it's going to confirm here the company name, which is year end, the version that I'm using, which is the fully up-to-date one, and then I'm going to click restore. It's then going to create a copy of my live data, completely disconnected from everything, in a safe environment in practice data mode. How can you tell? The eagle-eyed amongst you have probably seen big yellow bar across here. You're currently in practice company. It tells you how to exit. To access your live data, select file, open company data. But when you see this yellow bar, you know that you can't do any alterations to your live data. This is all now in a practice mode. So if we go back to transactions, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my company data as it stands. So what I could do from here is anything other than using connected services. If I wanted to run reports, I could run reports. This is just using the program. This is why this is a quick webinar, because this is just you using the program now, just to see how things would look. If I wanted to, for example, do the year end, tools, period end, year end. I'm just going to do this quickly for you for the sake of the demonstration, because obviously it's not a demonstration on year end itself. But let's say I've done all of this, I've checked my data, checked my chart of accounts, checked, done the backup. If I was to do a backup in practice data, I'd get this message. backing up data is not supported in practice mode, because again, no cross-contamination of figures. You can archive, set your budgets. You can also set your lock date, etc. And then you can run the year end. And what will happen is, Sage will treat this like it is your live data, but it isn't. Again, it'll confirm that I've done the year end, give me the same reports that I would receive in my live data. It would update my transactions as if it was my live data. As you can see, all the journals and the ledgers for the year end here have been created. I can then have a look at these, make sure that they're all okay, do any investigations that I need to, make sure I'm happy with the process that I've done, and I'm confident. If I am, and everything's turned out how I wanted it to be, including the reports that I can look at, I would then click File, Open Company Data. I would access my live company, which is there. And remember that transaction number I gave you at the start. Obviously, in the practice data, we'd added loads of journals to that. But now that I'm back in my live data, it's still at 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to demonstrate everything that I've just done there in the practice data bears no effect whatsoever. So essentially what you're doing in practice data is you're taking a backup of your data and you're just basically manipulating it to look how you want it to look and see if it's going to work in the live arena. An example of this to be used is if you do have, obviously there's going to be other for instances, but if you do have a new starter, you could give them a backup of the data, get them to restore it into practice mode, give them some tasks to complete, i.e. add a customer, perform this transaction, run this report, do a VAT return for me, that kind of thing. And then you can see what their capabilities are based on the practice mode that they ran that in. So instead of potentially making errors and having to restore backups in your live data, just use practice company. Makes more sense. And then let's say I run my year end and then there's another process that I want to do. Say I wanted to do what's called a clear audit trail. I wanted to get rid of some transactions, but I wanted to practice data before I did it in my live data. Because obviously once you delete something in your live data, it's gone. Again, open practice data. Use my data. I will browse to my file, which again is where I created it here. Click continue, restore it. It'll restore that back up again. Because it's a backup, just a little tip there, whatever your password was at the time of you taking that backup is what the password is going to be, because you are restoring a backup essentially. And then you could look around about doing the clear audit trail again, just to prove my point here. Transactions are back to 1, 2, 3, 4. Tools, period end, clear audit trail. And you can run through the process of removing transactions in a safe environment rather than risking any of your live data. There hasn't been very many questions coming in. Hopefully that's a good sign that we're hitting all the marks and the frequently asked questions have been answered. But if you could fire any questions that you have in across, we'll get them answered. But we're just going to nip back to the slides now because that's essentially the demonstration over. It's that easy to use. Let's jump back here. So hopefully you can see screen in front of you now. So how do we access demonstration data? Two options: company selection screen, demonstration data there, or within Sage 50. So file, open demo data, as you can see from the picture there as well. Practice data, same again, as you can see, practice data at the top there in your company selection screen, or open practice data, or restore into practice data. Restoring into practice company, is basically you restoring that back up into that live arena. Takes away the option of you creating something from blank. So in summary, just to recap, demonstration data, pre-configured company, perfect for new users just to have a look about in Sage and see what it can do. Obviously, the numbers will make no sense to you whatsoever because they're things that we've added and they're not based on your company or your business. So just look, it's an established data set. Any changes that you do make are saved, so you can go back in and make further adjustments again. Practice data, again, your data is in a completely safe environment, offline, on your C drive. You can see the impact of features or processing, VAT returns, year ends, month ends, anything like that at all, anything that isn't a connected service. So you couldn't use bank feeds or any apps or add-ons that you have because it will just not connect to them. Once you leave, the restored data is deleted. Superb. Okay. A couple of questions just came in there. I'm going to pick one up from Marco, which was just to show you again how you can change the color. So hopefully you can see my Sage 50 in front of you again. And again, it doesn't matter what company you're in when you do this, essentially. If you go to Tools, down to Options, there's loads of customizable features that you can do here. Michael's actually going to be running a webinar on it in June on the options that you can change and the customizations you can do within Sage. And because of his wealth of experience in the product, he can guarantee it's going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And then we've got colors here at the top, and then you've got customers here. So you can just basically change the colors to what you want them to be. I chose red, it was quite loud. If I go to, say, blue this time, and I could do nominal codes as green. Sometimes it helps with the separation of numbers and letters. It's all down to personal preference in that instance. So options, colors. Good hint and tip there. Another one came in from Michael there. So under File, Restore into Practice Company, absolutely. So make sure you've got a backup of your company's data set that you want to use. So the most recent would probably be the recommended. And from anywhere when you're in a company or in demonstration, you would go to, I'll show you now, I'll quickly open my live company data, which is year end, remember. Type in password, safe and secure, file, open practice data, or restore into practice company. Once you've done that, let's say use my data. Restore a backup of your own company data into a practice company to try new features and processes. The restored data is cleared when the practice session is closed. So it's not going to remember anything. And from here, you would browse to your backup file that you've taken. Once you've found that, you click continue, and then it would load that backup to a safe environment where you can practice these changes. Hopefully that makes sense for you, Michael. So on the guide as well, if you do want further information, if you've downloaded the handout, these two links are clickable and it'll take you to our practice guides. If you're on version 29 or lower, the practice data guide's slightly different. We only cover the ones for 30, 31 and 32. But there is a video that goes into detail of practice data guide. Because company restoration into practice data is only available from 30.1, if you want to use that feature, I would recommend upgrading. Before you do that, take a backup of your data and speak to your IT first if needs be. Looks like we are on top of all the questions, which is great. And we're approaching the end, so I'm going to go through the final bits of information for you, which is the first bit, is the help centre, sage.co.uk/help. Search the knowledge base if you have a subject that you're not quite clear on, the support guides there. But again, not to be biased, but the webinars are where the most information would be for you. A lot of demonstrations, a lot of information and helpful resources, including handouts, are attached to those videos also. Failing that, you got your support channels, web chat, and also the telephone subscription service as well. If there is areas of the program that you want to develop and grow your knowledge on, then we do one-to-one bespoke training sessions. Anything from the list in front of you to anything that you could possibly want. Just send an inquiry and we can tell you if we can organise it. They're usually in block hour sessions. But again, if you've downloaded the handout, use that email address, send an email in, and one of the experts will dial in to your PC with you over a Teams meeting usually and guide you through processes specific to your company and how you want things to look rather than more generic kind of stuff. We are bang on 2:30. So with that, I'm going to thank you all for your time. You will get a survey at the end. Again, we showed that we listened because this was a requested webinar. We've built it and delivered it for you. If there's any further webinars that you want delivered, then please send us the subject matter on the survey. Also, let us know your thoughts on the webinars that we do. We read absolutely every single comment and we develop using them. Other than that, I will leave you to your lovely days. And if you need anything, just get in touch with us. Speak soon. Bye for now.